Recording?
Yes, it is
Okay, good, good.
getting live straight away. It's gonna get live and gonna get recorded.
Awesome.
So just let me see, is
See?
everything okay? Yes, it perfect. Perfect. Wow. So just let me set up your thing, one more thing over here, and then we are good to go. And let me quickly share my screen. I have another screen to share, and I have lovely friends today coming, joining all the places. So do let me know in the chat from where you're joining. And if you're on YouTube, do let me know in the YouTube chat from where you're joining. I'd be very happy to know from where we are getting connected. So let's start, my friends. Welcome to Microsoft Excel Saudi Arabia Power Platform Meetup. And we are here today. Today is 27th of October. It's a Techtober. And this year I'm running a meetup called Women in Tech. So I'm inviting all the lovely women who are there into the tech industry and they have a massive, awesome knowledge. And today I have a lovely friend of mine, Alejandra, who is joining us from Canada. It's a daytime over there and it's an evening. So welcome, Alejandra. And so before I just start up, okay, I just want to make some good announcement. I want to let you know that we have reached around 2,300 members on the meetup page. That's lovely, and it's all that community support and the speakers who are regularly coming on the meetup and making this place such a beautiful place for everyone and sharing their valuable knowledge and insights over here. So thank you very much for all the speakers who are been continuously contributing to this meetup. And let you know that we are hosting also in-person meetups, which is happening in Saudi Arabia. You can stay connected on the meetup page, so you will definitely get some notifications which meetups are happening in person. And so today we have the guest on the hot seat on the other side is Alexandria. And she's my lovely dear friend. And I've been learning, watching her videos and learning a lot of things on Power Query. And it's really awesome, Alexandria. This is the second time. And when I thought of doing this theme, Women in Tech this year, Alexandria was one of the person who came in my mind that no, she should come back and especially in this theme, she should be part of this theme. So Alexandria, I'll leave the floor for you and you can just quickly introduce yourself and then we are good to go with the session.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Faraz. I really appreciate the invitation. I'm very honored. I'm very happy to be back. I was here 2 years ago, so it's awesome that I'm back and I'm very excited and honored to be included in this group. So thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. So thank
Same
you
here.
everyone who is joining. I really appreciate that you are taking time of your day to come join and support and learn. So I hope you find this session useful. And without further ado, we have lots to learn today. So I'm gonna start straight and go to the presentation. Just, oh yeah, I need to share my screen first. Just give me 1 minute. I need to share. I want to share a screen one so I can bring. Can you let me know when you can see my screen, please?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Perfect. So I'm gonna call the presentation and just wanna switch this. Excellent. So today we're gonna dig into how to let the custom functions do the work for you in Power Query. A little bit about me for those who don't know me. I'm a CPA in Canada. I'm a certified Excel expert. I'm an Excel and Power Query trainer, and I like to share tips and tricks in Excel and mostly Power Query in my YouTube channel, and you can find me there as Alejandra Horvath. For today, we're going to start with what Power Query is. And Power Query is a tool, it's a transformation tool that is going to help you to clean, to transform, to get your data ready for you to use. So Power Query uses the M language. And Power Query is gonna do what it's gonna do is gonna extract the data from several sources. It can be from CSV files, from Excel files, from databases, from many sources of data. Is going to transform that information in the Power Query editor. You are going to remove columns, add columns, remove rows, make calculations, group information, etc. Once your information is clean and ready to go, then you're going to load it. That is called the ETL process: extract, transform, and load. You can load the information into a pivot table, into pivot chart, into a table, or you can just load it connection only. So you can work with that information, and you can even add that information to your data model. We are going to learn about Power Query today in Excel, but what you're going to learn in Power Query is also applicable to Power BI. So that is the beauty about Power Query. Power Query is around among a dozen of apps. So it's very good that you enforce your knowledge in Power Query, because more and more apps are using it, right? So it's good to have that knowledge, and it just saves you so much time. So Power Query is perfect for time-consuming, boring, and repetitive tasks. So when you need to be cleaning the files over and over, you receive those files frequently, you need to prepare reports every month, every quarter, every 2 weeks, or every year, you can set the transformation process in Power Query. And next time that you have the new file, the new tab, the new table, you can just refresh your query and your data is transformed according with the process that you set at the beginning, right? Or how you prepare your query. So for today, custom functions. What a custom function is, or what it does, it takes a set of input values and it's going to transform those values, and it's going to output one value as result. We use custom function when we have a process, as I just mentioned. That process needs to be repeated over and over. Well, we just create the process, transform that into a custom function, so that function will be applicable to all my files, and the transformation will be processed in the same way that my first file was. We will see this in the demo that I'm going to present right now. As I said, we are going to use Excel for this presentation, Excel PC for PC. But what you learn here is also applicable for Power BI. And let's start by me showing you the files. Here on my desktop, I have a folder that is called Custom FX, and I have a folder that is called Sales. In that folder, I have 3 files. So I'm gonna select the 3 of them, and I'm gonna just press enter so I can show you the content of them. These files have similarities, but also they have a structure that is not always the same. And the columns are not always the same. So in this case, my file number 2 is, and by the way, let me just open this over here. There we go. So here is the name of my file, is 2 only. And my file 2 refers to the month of February. All my files have the first 3 columns: province, city, app, and product. But some files will have these columns with the year to date from the previous month. All the files will have the columns for the specific month that I'm working with. In this case, for February, I have only 5 stores. And some files will have the year to date also at the end. In this case, February doesn't have additional columns for comments or notes, but some files will have, okay? So also on the products or on the rows, these are gonna be similar in all the files just to make it easier, but in our real world, we may have different information in every single file, or just additional information every new month, let's say. So I'm gonna close month 2, and now this is my file 1. If it wants to come, Here is my file number 1, and this refers to the month of January. As you see here, I don't have the year-to-date at the beginning. I have 5 stores. I have the year-to-date at the end or on the right. And this file has a column for notes or comments. I'm going to close January. And here we have March. March is file number 3 right here. And this has year-to-date that is coming from February. My month is March. But also I have here, and let's put the blue. I have store 6 in this file. So I have 1 extra column this time, and I have notes and comments. So I'm going to close this as well, and we're going to start preparing. We're going to start creating our query, how we are going to clean that information, because the only information that I want to bring from those files is the columns that refer to the month. So in a new workbook, on the data tab, I'm going to go to get data from file, and I'm going to start with 1 file so I can create the process. And here I'm going to select from Excel work. I'm going to go to the desktop, and here on the desktop, let me close this a little bit, and I have custom function, double click there. I have my folder sales. So on the desktop, custom FX, folder desk, I have my 3 files. I'm going to bring March. So I'm going to double click there just to bring the more recent one. And you can bring any, the process will work with any of the files. So I'm going to select sheet 1. That is the only sheet that this file has. If I had more sheets, then those sheets will be listed here. So here and the navigator is showing me a preview of what is included in that sheet that I can see here on the right. Here at the bottom, I'm going to put this a little bit more on the top. So here at the bottom, I have transform data. I have load. If I click at the row where it says load, I have load or load to. If I do this, I will be able to load the content of that file. I can load it to a pivot table in this book 1, in this new workbook, or I will be able to load it as pivot chart or table or connection. But I'm not ready to do that because then I'm going to load the file exactly as it is. For the reason what I'm going to select here, or what I want to click at, is a transform data. Is here you can see that the queries are being processed. It's only 1 query, but nonetheless it's processing. So it opened in the incorrect screen. Just give me 1 second. Let me bring that over here. There we go. The Power Query editor opens. I'm using Microsoft 365. And here, for those who are not familiar with Power Query or with the Power Query editor, on the top, you will have the ribbon. On the left, you have the queries pane. On the right, we have the query settings. And in the middle, we have the current view. That's where we are going to see all the transformations happening. Okay, to zoom in, Control-Shift+. And on the left, my query has been called sheet 1. That is the name of the sheet that Power Query brought from the file that I want to transform. So I'm going to rename it. I double click there and I'm going to say demo. I press enter. And then I'm going to hide the query section. So I'm going to have more space here on the table that we are going to be working on. You can see that Power Query has created some steps for me, change type, more headers. So I'm not ready to change the data type just yet. It's too early. And if I leave these steps as they are, you can see that the name of the columns are being hard-coded, and that's not correct. First, the column names are incorrect. Second, the number of columns are different in every file, or it might be different in every single file. So leaving the names of the columns hard-coded is going to be very dangerous because it can bring you an error when these columns are not matching with the file that you are going to be transforming. Okay, so for that reason, I'm going to delete. I'm going to just click at that X on the side of the name of the step, here on the right. So I deleted change type. I'm going to change promote headers because the headers, as I said, are not correct. I have here as a header year-to-date February, but that is not correct. I need to find a way to combine the month with the store. So I'm going to remove promote headers as well. So I'm going to stay with my step navigation, and I have my step source, which is bringing information from the file that I just showed you. It was file number 3. And this is the path where I'm bringing that file from. So that is where the step source is going. My navigation step is bringing information from the sheet 1 kind sheet from the data column. So if we go to our step source, I have my data column, I have my item that equals sheet 1, and the kind equals sheet. So it's bringing information that is matching with these two items, and it's bringing information that is coming from the column data. That is what the navigation is saying here. From the column data, bring the kind sheet, and bring the item sheet 1. Here, this is my starting point. What I need to do first, I need to find a way to combine my month with my store. So I want to make sure that I'm going to have that information only in one cell so I can promote that as headers, and later on I can work with that information. So to do that, very simple. Those who have seen some of my presentations, I do this often, so stay with me, bear with me. I'm going to do it relatively quickly. So it's a good way to avoid performance issues. If you try to transpose your whole table, in this case, I have only 4 lines that go below my data set, my column headers. However, in real life, our tables can be very big. The process that I'm going to show needs to transpose the table. When you transpose a big table, you may have performance issues because it needs to transpose the whole set of data, right? So for that reason, I'm going to just pick the first 2 lines, and I'm going to work with those first 2 lines because really that's the only thing that I want to transform from here. So to do that, I'm going to go to the formula bar. The formula bar here is on the top. If you don't have the formula bar visible, you go to view and make sure that this part where it says formula bar, you have the check mark in the box. Okay. So I'm gonna click at the effects beside the formula bar, and you see that it says equal sheet 1 underscore sheet. Remember that when we look at navigation, that is the item that we selected. From the column data, we select the name sheet 1, kind sheet. Well, that's what Power Query uses to name this variable. That is the name of the variable. However, when you look at the step, it's called navigation. This is one of the few steps or the only step that Power Query names differently than the variable is named. If you go here to view Advanced Editor, Control-C+ to zoom in, and you look here, we have the expression let and the expression end. Inside of the expression let, you will see the variables, the expressions, and the values that are included in the transformation process. The variable name is source. The variable name is sheet1 underscore sheet. It doesn't say navigation. That is the identifier in the steps. However, is the name of the variable is sheet1 sheet. For that reason, when you create a new step here in the formula bar, you see sheet1 underscore sheet because that is the name of the variable. The new step that is called custom 1 here, that is the step over here. Let me see if I do this correctly. So it says custom 1 here. That is the new variable here. And this variable is referring to the previous step here. Actually, let me do that in red. Here, the new step is referring to the previous variable, which is, and is bringing that value. The value is the table that is coming as a result of this expression, okay? So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to close the advanced editor. This and it seems like I was muted. When was I? Which part you stop hearing to me?
Yeah, it's just a few seconds, nothing else.
Okay, perfect. Okay, excellent. So here is the name of the variable, and this is the table that that variable is bringing as a result, right? That's the value of that variable. So from here, and we wanted to explain that that's why you see different name as sheet 1 underscore sheet, and you see, and it says navigation on the steps in the box. So after the equal, I'm going to say table first in. Here. Open parenthesis asking me for a table. The table is coming from sheet 1 underscore sheet. I'm going to press comma, and I want to bring only the first 2 items of the table. I'm going to close parenthesis, and I'm going to press enter. Here I have the only 2 lines or 2 rows. Now I'm going to transpose those 2 rows. The equal, I'm going to say table transpose, or you could have gone to transform and click at the icon for transform. Sorry, transpose right here. Open parenthesis is asking you for a table, and is the table that we see here, the only 2 lines, close parenthesis at the end, and now I have my table transposed. The only thing that I want to do here, I want to fill the information that I have, for example, from year to date. I want to fill that down, same thing with March. So I'm going to click at the column, right click, fill down. Now I have the items that belong to that title. I have those items well identified. What I want to do now, I want to combine both columns into one, because I want to have that information only in one column. And I can do it like this. I can select column 1, press and hold control, select column 2. I can right click and say merge columns. And if I do this, it's going to ask me to choose a separator. Let's say if I say I want the separator as custom, and that separator is going to be the pipe. Here you have the custom separator is the pipe. Then I say, okay, I don't like to do this because even though I have one column only, the province, the city, and the product have the pipe at the beginning because it was merged with the previous column, which was null. And I don't like this, how it looks. So you may find another custom separator. I used to do 2 spaces, so I didn't have that pipe or something like that. However, I found a better way, or a way that I like more. I'm going to delete that step, merge column. And from here, I'm going to add a new column. So I can go to I can go to add column, custom column, or I can go to the formula bar. I'm going to press to FX to create a new step. After the equal, I'm going to say table add column. I'm going to open parenthesis. It's asking me for a table. The table is the one that I'm seeing here. It's coming from my step or my variable field down, comma. The name of the new column is going to be A. It doesn't matter the name. I'm not going to keep that name later on. So I'm going to just put A, comma, and what do I want to process inside of that new column? So I need to provide a keyword each keyword for a function. And what I want to do is text combine. I want to combine that text that I have, open parentheses, I have in column 1 and in column 2. So I need to provide the text as list. So to tell Power Query that something is a list, I need to provide the curly brackets. Inside of the curly brackets, I'm going to provide one set of square brackets to say column 1. That is the first column. Close the square bracket, comma, open a new set of square brackets, column 2. And I go out of the closing curly bracket, comma, and I need to provide the separator in the text combine function, I need to say which separator I want to use, and I'm going to use the pipe. I need to provide that inside of quotation marks. Close parentheses for the text combine, close parentheses for the text table at column, and I'm going to press enter. And now you see that in my new column, I have the text combined, but for those columns or for that text that didn't have any information that had null value in the first column, like right here, now you see that for those items, I don't have the pipe, which looks much nicer to my eye, in my eyes. So I don't have to be dealing with that and stuff, right? So now that I have that information, or the information that I need, Ctrl+Shift- to zoom out. I'm going to keep only column 1. And to do that, here on the formula bar, after the closing parentheses for the table at column, I'm going to provide a double set of square brackets to keep the name of the content of column A as the only column from this table. Press enter, and now you can see that I have that column only. I didn't have to create other step to delete the other columns. I could have also deleted the other columns, but I like to do this projection. This is called projection because I don't have to create a new step, and I keep the column that I need. Now that I have this information here, I can transpose back to connect with my previous table. As I said, you can use the formula bar or add the function table transpose, or you can go to transform, and then you can just select here transpose. Here is my column has become my row. And now I want to connect this row with my navigation step, which, if you remember correctly, this is the variable sheet1 underscore sheet. So this is the table that I want to connect with my last step. And to do that, I'm just gonna add an ampersand, and I'm gonna say sheet1 underscore sheet. That is the table that I want to connect, or I want to combine with this row, or this table that has only one row. I'm gonna press enter, and now you see that I have connected both tables. Here is the row that I want to keep, and these are the two rows that I don't want to keep. I already have them here combined. And it's going to be very easy to remove those two rows, because here from my table sheet1 underscore sheet, I'm going to add a function table skip. Open parentheses, I'm going to go to the end. The table skip is asking me for a table that is coming from sheet1 underscore sheet, comma. I need to provide the count of the rows that I want to skip, or a condition. In my case, I know there are two rows that I don't want to bring, the first two rows. So I'm going to press enter. And now you see that I don't have those two rows anymore. So I have the table that I need. And here very quickly, I'm just going to rename my steps. If you notice, there are some steps that are referring to previous variables, or to previous steps here. Fill down, and you see that you have the hashtag and you have the quotation marks, and that is because there is a space between the two words. So if I just do something like this, just remove the space between the two words. If I go back here, I don't have the hashtag and the quotation marks anymore, so it just looks cleaner when you are looking at the code, let's say. So now I go back to my last step, and the only thing that I want to do here is to promote the headers. Now the first line is ready to be promoted as the header. So I'm gonna go after the equal, and say table, promote headers, open parentheses, go to the end, close parentheses, enter. Now I have that first line as my headers. Things are working properly. And now my next step is to remove the year-to-date items, and also anything that says note or comment. So to do that, I'm gonna create a new step, and Ctrl+Shift- to zoom out a little bit. So after the equal, I'm gonna say table column names, open parentheses, go to the end, close parentheses. I just want to have the list of the name of the columns. I need to remove anything that contains year to date and anything that contains notes. If you have something else, comments, anything that you don't want, anything in the names of the columns that you don't want to keep, you will set your filters in that, avoiding or not including those items. And from here, I'm going to create a new step. I'm going to say equal list select. Open parentheses is asking me for a list. The list is the one that I'm seeing here. It's coming from my step custom tree, comma. And what I want to include there is going to be each and not, text not contains, so not, and text contains. And the list, I need to provide the list of the text. I'm going to provide the underscore because that is telling Power Query to look at every single line of this list, comma, and what should not include, and it's going to be year to date. Notice that I'm providing lowercase here. Power Query is case sensitive, so I'm going to show you first the error. I'm going to close parentheses and I'm going to press enter. As you see, I still have year-to-date items here, and that is because I provided the lowercase. This text contains formula has an additional parameter. I'm going to provide a comma after that, and I'm going to say ignore. If I provide the compare ordinal ignore case, then I go to the end and press enter. Now you can see that the year-to-date items are gone. So it's very useful to have this parameter because it really gives you the opportunity to avoid errors or prevent errors in the future. If for any reason any of those columns have the year-to-date and lowercase, then those items will be also captured here because of this parameter. My next condition here is that also does not contain notes. So I just copy the whole text contains, and instead of year to date, I paste Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, and now I'm going to say notes. It does not contain and not contain notes. Now you see, let me expand my formula bar. So does not contain year to date and does not contain notes. Now you can see these are the columns that I want to keep. I'm going to rename this step as columns to keep. And just a good tip is just rename your steps properly, not like me, because later on when you need to go back to your process, you're seeing custom 1, custom 2, custom 3 is really not telling you anything. If you could rename this properly, then you know what you're doing in your steps. For matter of time, I'm just going to skip it right now, but I recommend that you rename your steps. In my case, I just rename columns to keep because it's going to be easier later on. So I'm going to create a new step. On the FX, I'm going to click again to create a new step. I'm going to say equal. And just by curiosity, you are looking at my screen properly, right?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Just notice something here on the right, but I think it's nothing. Okay, thank you. So now this is the list. My new step refers to the previous step columns to skip. I don't want that. What I want to do is, let me just Control X so I can keep that here. And I believe it was custom tree. Custom tree. Let's see if that's what I needed. No, you see, that's why you renamed your steps. So, and then it was transposed. So press enter, and this is the table that I want to work with. So I'm gonna change the name transposed. I'm gonna select it, press F2, and I'm gonna say table, TBL, table. So I know that is the table that I want to transform. So I'm gonna go back to my custom for step. And now that name has changed here as well. Control-C plus to zoom in right here. So this is referring to this step table. So that is the table that we are seeing here. So after the equal, I'm going to say table, select columns, and table, select columns, open parentheses, go to the end, comma, and I need to provide, for some reason, the IntelliSense is doing something a little bit weird. And after the equal, I need to provide the list of the name of the columns that I want to keep. So I'm going to Control V. The calls to keep that step has the list of the columns that I want to keep. So I'm going to close parentheses. I'm going to press Enter. And now, Control-Shift minus to zoom out. Now you see that my table has only city, product, and it starts with March, with the month, and the store number. It doesn't have the column notes as anymore, and it doesn't have the columns with the year to date. So you can see that my process is working, right? So here, custom for, I'm gonna say table, clean table. You can name it something more significant, but for me, just to have an idea what I have in here, right? So this is my clean table. Now from this clean table, I'm gonna select the column prof, press and hold shift and select the column product. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna select unpivot other columns. So I can keep all the months and stores in one column and all the values in another column. And from here, you can see that Power Query has named this column attribute and this column value. I don't like to keep those names. So I'm gonna, here on the formula bar, what Power Query did is table unpivot other columns from the table that is coming from the step clean table. These are the columns that I want to keep as they are. So no change on those three columns. So those are the three columns that we selected. And these are the names of the new columns, attribute, this, and value, the next one. So in attribute, I'm just gonna give a name M because I need to split that column. So I'm gonna change the names anyway. So I'm gonna just give the name M to that column and the name amount to the column value. And I'm gonna press enter. Once I do that, you can see that M has become the name of this column and amount the name of this other column. Now that I have this, I'm gonna just rename my step unpivoted other columns. I'm just gonna keep it as unpivoted. Select the column M, right click, split by delimiter. And remember, we provided the pipe as the delimiter where Power Query already recognized that. Here on custom, pipe is the custom delimiter. And I'm just gonna say, okay, now I have two different columns, one with the month, one with the store. The steps that Power Query has created for me is a change type and the split column by delimiter. I don't want to split, I don't want to change the data type. I'm gonna remove that step. I'm gonna just keep the step split column by delimiter, and I'm just gonna rename this step as split. In here on the formula bar, what Power Query did is table split column from the table that is coming from the previous step. The name of the column is M. That's the column that you're gonna split. You are gonna split by the delimiter the pipe, and you're gonna split it in column M.1 and column M.2. So I'm gonna rename M.1 instead of that. I'm gonna say that this will be month, and the next column will be store. Press enter, and that's the name of my columns. Power Query again has created the change type step. I'm gonna remove that. I don't need it right now. And that's my process. That's the cleaning and transformation process that I want to perform in every single file that I have in my folder, sales. So I'm gonna expand the queries pane. Now I'm gonna present how to create a custom function very different to my previous presentations. So I hope you find this one useful. Here on the left on the queries pane, first, I'm gonna create a blank query. So I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna create a new query, other sources, blank query. That is gonna be my starting point. And what I want to bring there is I'm gonna go back to my query demo. I'm gonna go to source. I want to bring the file content. So Control C from file contents up to the closing parentheses for that function. I'm gonna Control C there. I'm gonna go to my blank query, go to the advanced editor, Control Shift plus to zoom in. And after the equal for the source step, which is bringing a blank query, so that's why you see the 2 quotation marks is blank, right? So I'm gonna remove it and I'm gonna paste what I copy from my query demo. It's working fine. It doesn't find any syntax errors. I'm gonna say done. Here is my file in a binary form. And that is very important to remark or to mention. This is in a binary form. I'm gonna go back to my demo query. I'm gonna go to the source step. And here, as you see, if I put my cursor on top of the Excel workbook function, you will see that it says that this is expecting a workbook as binary. Okay, so I'm gonna select again from file contents and the path where this file is, and I'm gonna delete that. And now I'm gonna refer to my query one that I should have renamed, but anyhow, right now that's the query that is holding this information. So I'm gonna click at the check mark and nothing changes. If I go to my last step, everything is still the same. But now my query is connected to this blank query. That is very important because I'm gonna create a parameter now, okay? Once I finalize this, I'm gonna go home, manage parameters, new parameter. So when we create a custom function, we need to provide parentheses, the goes to symbol. The goes to symbol is an equal and greater than symbol. And inside of the parentheses, we provide the parameters. So that's what we're doing right now. We're creating the parameter that will go inside, let's say, of those parentheses, okay? So this parameter one will require a binary type file, and the suggested value is a binary. The default value, I'm gonna click at the drop-down list, and it has only one option, which is the query one. And zoom in a little bit. So here is default value, is the only value that I have available is this query. So I'm gonna select that, and the current value, I'm gonna select same thing, the only value that we have available because we have that query that we just created. I'm gonna say, okay, here is my parameter that is bringing information from this query. Now that I go to my query demo, I wanna create a custom function from there. I'm gonna right click on my query, and I'm gonna select create function. And as you see, right now, I don't have folders. I'm gonna just escape here. I don't have any folders organizing this information, right? So once I right click to the demo query and I create a function, no parameters were, oh, okay, so hold on, I missed one step. So I created my parameter that is referring to this query. I'm gonna go back to my demo query, and good thing that it shows because you need to connect your query to your parameter. So instead of query one, now we have that query inside of the parameter. So I can now bring the parameter one, yeah, enter. Same thing, you will notice that nothing changed. We go to our last step, everything is still working as planned, let's say. But now that my query is connected to a parameter, I can right click to the query and I can create a function. The name of the function will be fx, just to identify that that is my function, demo. And I'm gonna say, okay. And once I do that, I have my function that is requesting one parameter, and that parameter needs to be provided as binary, okay? I'm gonna move, and now you see that Power Query has created two folders, one folder for the function and one folder for other queries. And here is where my query one that is connected to this parameter was allocated. So I'm just going to move that to the folder FX demo because all that information belongs together, let's say. And here on my other functions, now I'm able to bring all the information from my folder. Right click on the white part on the left. I'm going to say new query, file, and now I'm going to bring the folder where this information is saved. So I'm going to go to my desktop, custom function, custom FX, folder sales, and I'm going to open. Here is going to show me the content, Ctrl+Shift+ to zoom in, the content of that folder, which has my 3 files. I'm not ready to combine and transform data because it will combine and transform the data as is without any transformation that we did. Or I can bring that information as transform data. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select transform. I'm going to select transform data. I'm going to click there. And here we have the same information that the navigator showed us. But here on content column, I have all my files in a binary form. That's what I need for my function demo. I just need to keep that column. So I'm going to remove all the other columns. And the best or the fastest and the way that I really like is a projection, double set of square brackets at the end of the closing parentheses for the folder files. And I'm going to say content. Press enter. Oh, I missed one T. So make sure that you spell the name of the column correctly, otherwise you will have this error. So I provided the T here, and now I press enter. I keep just the content column. Transform this column. So if you click here beside where it says binary, you can see the content, right? And it's just the information for every single file. So I can transform this column. I can add one column and make the transformation, or I can transform this column. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to transform this column here. So I'm going to create a new step in FX, clicking in FX. After the equal, I'm going to say table transform columns. Open parentheses, the table that is coming from my step source, which is this table with one column only. I go to the end, press comma, and I need to provide the transformations as list. So I need to provide a set of curly brackets. Side of that, I'm going to provide the name of the column, we need to provide quotation marks and the name of the column. So that I want to transform, which is the only column in this case. So I'm going to say each, because I want to tell Power Query what to process. And now I'm able to invoke my FX demo function. So you can see it now here in the list. And that's why I like to put the FX, because it's easier to see in the list, right? So if FX, okay, that's mine. So I'm going to select that. I want to open parentheses. By opening the parentheses, I'm telling Power Query that I want to invoke this function, and I need to provide the file as binary, which is the content of my column content. So for that reason, I'm going to provide the underscore because I already told Power Query that I want to transform the column content here. So by providing the underscore, I'm telling Power Query that I want to look to every single line on that column content and transform and invoke this function to every single line, right? I'm going to go to the end, close parentheses for table transform columns, and I'm going to press enter. Now you see that it doesn't say binary anymore. You can see that now we have the tables totally transformed as we transform our table, our file 3. Now file 1, 2, and 3 have been transformed with the same process. I have January here. You can see in the month here for the first line is January. This is referring to the first line. This is January. I'm going to go to the second line. This is February. And the third line refers to March. That's how I wanted my process to be applied. I'm going to click at effects again, and I'm going to combine these tables. So I'm going to go after the equal, table combine, open parentheses. I need to bring the tables as list. Well, in the projection, double set of square brackets will bring the columns that I indicate inside of those square brackets. You will bring those columns from the table. But if I provide only one set of square brackets, will bring that content as a list. And that's what I need to provide here. I need to provide where the tables are coming from as list. For that reason, I'm going to provide just one set of square brackets and bring the name content. So I can bring that information as a list. Close parentheses at the end, press enter. And now here I have all the months, January, February, and March. I have all of them combined in only one table. So, and the nice thing of preparing a custom function with this process is that if I need to make changes to my process, let's say, oh, you know what, now I have been required to add overhead. I need a column for overhead. So I go to my query demo. That's the query that we work with to set the process. And I'm going to add a column with that information. So we can go just to add column right here. Actually, I'm going to select the column amount. I go to add column. I'm going to go standard. And I'm going to multiply this by 10%. So value 0.1, which is 10%. I'm going to say, okay. Now I have a new column that is called multiplication, which I don't like. I'm going to just say OH for overhead or overhead instead, overhead. And then I call that step OH. So I'm going to rename that step as OH. Now I have my column overhead. And let's say now I want to add the amount and the overhead. So I'm selecting both columns here on add column, standard add. I have now a new column that is called addition, but it's adding both amounts. So instead of addition here, I'm going to change that name and I'm going to say that it's going to be my column called total. And now you see total here because I changed the name just over here. Okay. Once I do that in my source query, if I go to sales where I have all the tables, I go to sales, you will see that because my query demo is connected to the parameter was used to create the custom function. Now my file, my query with all the files has also overhead and it has total. So that's the good thing about creating a custom function like this. The thing that for me I don't enjoy too much is that you need to create a query like a bridge between the original query. So you need to create a new query with information as binary so you can connect that to the parameter, so you can connect the parameter to your query. But that work pays off when you need to change your original process, let's say from the query demo, and you need to apply that change to your custom function. So when you use this process, you can update only your original query, and that update falls or rolls for the whole transformation for all your files. So that is the beauty of doing this. So I'm gonna go home, close and load too. And up to here, everything that I show you in Power Query is applicable to Power BI as well. So from here, now in Excel, I can import this information as table, pivot table report, pivot chart, only create connection, or I can also add this to the data model. I'm not gonna add to the data model. For now, I'm gonna add this as a connection only, so only create connection, because I created many queries. And if I leave the default as a table, then all of those queries are gonna be loaded into my Excel workbook as different tabs. And I don't want that. I just want to bring the result of my query sales. So I'm gonna right click at sales, load to pivot table report, existing worksheet, but I want that in B2, and I'm gonna say, okay. So from here, I can just bring, let's say, month on the columns and my total amount here on the values. And maybe I can say the province here on the rows. And I just have 2 provinces. So maybe I just bring the city because I have more cities. Let's say I have 4 cities, right? So that's the content that I want to bring there, right click to any of the numbers in my pivot table, number format, number, thousand separators, no decimals. And I'm going to say, okay, I have my information organized, ready to go. Perfect. What happens when a new file comes to my source? So here on my custom function folder, I have one file that is called 4. I'm going to Control C to copy that and Control V to paste inside of my folder sales. As you see in my pivot table, I only have January, February, and March. And let me change this. I'm going to go to design, report layout, tabular form. So you can see the titles better. So city, month, and so on. And I have my grand total, right? I'm going to right click to my pivot table and I'm going to refresh. And now you see that in no time, we have the information from April also added to our data. And something that I forgot to show you is this file 4 here on my sales folder. I'm going to just open that to show you that it has the year-to-date columns before the information for the months, but this file has store 7. The other files had up to store 5, I believe, if I remember correctly. So now this file has more stuff. And this file doesn't have titles here, but because when I fill down the year-to-date, when I transpose and fill down, the year-to-date went down up to the last column name. And for that reason, it was also a year-to-date item. So now that I can close this, I go back to my pivot table, and just to confirm, I'm going to remove city and I'm going to bring product here. And product and why? Oh, there is something. Product form. Oh, sorry, it was store. I thought something went wrong. Okay, yeah. So I have my store. Store 6 came. Oh, store 6 was included in March. It was store 7 that was not included in the other ones. So I can add new stores. I can have more information, and still my query is still working properly. And you saw how easy it is just to modify information, how easy it's just to add the new file, right click, and your query updates. Of course, my data sources were very small. The time to refresh this table was very quick, but even with bigger data sets, like 3,000 lines or stuff like that, it doesn't take too long. If you have data sets that are more complex, the transformation processes are more complex, and it will change. But in general, in my experience, working with this type of processes doesn't take that long. It certainly takes way less time than doing manually every single file. But in general, it doesn't take that long. So just take that warning. It will depend on your data set. If you have thousands, millions of rows, and the process might be complex and require some of the transformations to look into the whole data set, your process might be slower, but in general, it doesn't take that long. Okay? So I didn't stop for questions. I wasn't sure if I was going to end on time. And now that I show all of this, do we have questions out there? Sorry, I didn't stop at all.
No, you were going great. And there were some questions on the YouTube,
Okay.
And not question, basically like people, they said that you are the best. The
Oh, thank you.
refresh all button on my Power Query is my favorite by Christian.
Okay.
Everyone favorite. Yeah, that's the one magical button which is can solve all your problems.
Yeah, yeah, no. Power Query is magic, honestly. It is.
It is
Yeah.
magic. Wow. So I'm
Okay.
just checking. No, so far, no questions are there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, honestly, Power Query has been just so time saving, right? So it's it is fantastic. Honestly, it has changed the way that we work, let's say, and it can really improve the way that we work and the efficiency on the process, right? So avoids errors, manual errors, and it just makes things, simplifies things, right? So yeah, it's quite a gift to have in Excel now. So, well, now, and I'm saying now, but honestly, I was surprised that it's available since 2010 as add-in, and it was included in Excel since 2016. I just discovered Power Query in 2021, and that was with Celia Alves. She was the first one that I saw a tutorial from, and like I couldn't believe it. Like, this is magic. But yeah, I am very glad that we have this tool. It's life-changing, that's for sure. Yes. Awesome. So if we don't have questions, if you are okay, I can just continue with the presentation because
Yeah,
I
you
have
may
some
please.
sources, some
Yes,
books
you
that
may
I can
please
recommend.
continue with the presentation.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. So let me just switch this. Oh, no. I clicked at the wrong thing. Anyhow, so as summary, I'm just going to, yeah, because I duplicate. Let me just do something here. I shouldn't duplicate. I want to just to switch the screens. Now,
You
and
can stop
nothing is
sharing and you
happening.
can share it again. Yeah.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so summary, we took a quick look what Power Query is. We took a look what custom functions can do for you. So just speed of the work. And well, there were no questions, but I was prepared for a Q&A session. So resources, where you can learn more. And I wanted to bring this up because some people might don't know, and these are great ways to learn more. And I have learned way so much from um, Ben Gribaudo. Let me just put this one in draft, and now it doesn't work. And let me see. Yeah, it doesn't want to work, maybe because I'm presenting. But Ben Gribaudo has a Power Query M Primer and Master M course. Fantastic course to take, but also he has a series of Power Query M blog. Fantastic. He has like 26 different parts, and you can go from super basic to much more advanced just by reading his blog. So it's a great source to go and to dig into. Of course, Melissa de Corte. Melissa has her today's menu publications in LinkedIn. So if you don't do that just yet, follow Melissa. You will learn way too much. So, and very good information. Also, Rick de Groot, he has his website, Power Query How. So right here, Power Query How is a great source, and it has examples, functions, you name it. It's a great place to go. Of course, Power Query from Microsoft. And for this specific session, Power Query, what is Power Query? And custom function, create and invoke custom functions. Books, I recommend, of course, a classic, Collect, Combine, and Transform Data using Power Query in Excel and Power BI by Jill Raviv. Master your data with Power Query in Excel and Power BI from by Miguel Escobar and Ken Pauls. And the latest one is the definitive guide of Power Query M, Mastering Complex Data Transformation with Power Query by Greg Declare, Melissa de Corte, and Rick de Groot. Fantastic sources. So if you are not aware of this, I'm gonna upload a copy of this presentation as well, so you have that information. Thank you so much for attending today. You can find me if you want to follow me in YouTube, LinkedIn. You can find me as Alejandra Horvath, or if you are more Insta user, you can find me as Empower to Excel. Because I have converted my personal, I am Alejandra Horvath in Instagram, so now I publish pictures of my dog and my cats. So Empower to Excel is the place to see stuff for Excel or PowerPoint. And that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope you found it useful.
Lovely, lovely. We really enjoyed. We learned a lot of things in today's session, especially merge call and the way you have cleaned the names. It was really nice, Jandra. And so it's 9 o'clock. Okay, we hit the clock now, and I know we have to sign out from the YouTube now. But as usual, Alexander, you might be remembering that before you the presenter leaves the session, we ask him this: Is there any final thoughts, any final words or any quotes where you can tell us, the inspiration quote, anything, whatever you feel like.
Yeah, try to use Power Query as much as you can. And even if you don't do it in your regular work, or you believe you don't need it in your regular work, you never know. It can really change the way that you work. So even just volunteer to solve any issues at work, some of your coworkers may need help. That really helps to learn more. So you have something like that, take advantage of it. Otherwise, look into the community. We have a great community in Excel, or in data in general. The data community is fantastic. Look into the forums to see the questions, to see the answers, and keep learning, because honestly, the more that you learn, the more you realize you don't know a lot. So the more that you learn, you see the potential and the opportunities that you have to keep learning, to contribute, and to grow. One thing that I find key is to share. As I learn, I share, and then I can learn more. I couldn't learn as much as I did in the last 2 years if I didn't share what I learned. Because once I learn, I share it, I show it, and there is someone who asks you a question that you didn't think about, you didn't even thought it was possible, also expands, because someone will tell you that there is a different way to do it. And then you feel curious and start digging and trying to learn more. So try to share as much as you can. So it's good for you, it's good for the community, and it's a win-win for everybody. So, and thank you. Thank you so much for accepting me as part of the community, because it has been amazing. Thank you. That's all my words, Faraz. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it, and the continual support. Thank you.
Awesome, dear. So we'll be signing out from the YouTube, my friends, and I'll be seeing you in my next video session. And the file for the session, which is there, it's already kept on the website. I have shared the link, so you can feel free to download from there. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop a message on YouTube chat, and I'll make sure that I'll tag Alexandria for any kind of support you needed even after the session. So it was lovely. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful session today for Women in Tech. And we'll be signing out from the YouTube, but stay back, guys, on the Zoom because party's still on. Take care, my friends. Bye. Bye from YouTube.